Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse with me, Daniel Dazi. In our headlines this hour, police are on a manhunt for the members of a sextortion and pornography syndicate, Empress Leaks. This comes after the owner of the website and leader of the ring was arrested. We hear from police and the communications minister. Also, Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service meeting to deliberate on the President Akufo-Addo directive on banned WASSCE candidates ends here in Accra. We have details on The Pulse. Now, days after the peace accord was signed by the NPP and the NDC in the Bono East town of Banda following violent clashes, we revisit the town to find out how they are healing. All this and more coming up on The Pulse. Welcome.
The Pulse is brought to you by
Stop Cough from Ernest Chemists.
We begin with education, and in the eastern region, the Achim Ebuakwa Traditional Council is demanding immediate closure of Bright Senior High School, where the principal, Bright Nyako Amponsa, allegedly instigated students to attack WASSCE officials supervising the WASSCE at the school's center. Now, WAEC officials on the ground accused the principal of being behind the attack, which left some invigilators and journalists injured. We bring you more of that story in just a few minutes, but we understand that meeting between the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education held and the incidents of the President Akufo-Addo has come to an end. We've been joined via Zoom by the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum Ampofo. Good afternoon, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. And what was the outcome of that meeting?
Yes, good afternoon, Danielle, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And so, as directed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the Honorable Minister of Education has engaged management of Ghana Education Service today, 10th August. And then we have reviewed the sanctions imposed on the students who misconducted themselves after the integrated science paper on Monday, 3rd August 2020. And so this was the outcome. We said that the underlisted students, in fact, the names have not changed. I don't know whether you want me to go through the list, but the names have not changed as in the first media release that we did. The students from Secondary College, Nicholas and Kadmel, John Kofi, and then Simon Amaigbo and Juliet Amwakwa of Chinebua Kodia, and then we have the students at Batol Senior High School, Emmanuel Ashangwo, Peter Sisi, Ameka, Shadrach, and then Alfred Chicho, and then Solomon Bakwa, Albert Ejekum, Martin Kum of Jabin Senior High School.
Right.
We have decided that go back to the school to write their exams. And so we have directed that the heads of institutions should allow them to come to the school to write their paper under guardian escorts. So they will not go to the school to write the paper alone. They would have their parent or anybody, a relative, a guardian, escort them. And then they would leave the campus immediately they finish the paper. Apart from that, all other sanctions still remain. They have still been dismissed. They are no more part of the school. They only go and then write their exams. So that sanction applied still remains. And then all school properties that were destroyed during, that's on the 3rd, again, they are going to pay the full cost. In fact, not only them, but all the schools, the students in the school that the incident occurred will be surcharged. And so all other sanction remains, except the fact that they have been allowed to go back to the school to write the WASSCE or to continue the WASSCE.
Right. Thank you, Cassandra. Now, help us understand this. Initially, we saw the videos from Chinebua Kodia and Secondary College, but a number of the viewers may not be aware with the incident at Bator Senior High School. Can you update us on what happened exactly there?
Yes, in Baton Senior High School, I don't know whether you ever saw this video where you had these 3 or 4 gentlemen having the book, and then they said, fellow Ghanaians, they have read from cover to cover the past questions, and it didn't come, and then they brought in. I don't know whether you saw that video, but it happened on Baton Senior High School campus.
Right.
And so that was exactly what. And so when we engaged them, they said because they couldn't write the paper, that's why they did that. And so, in fact, when we engaged all of them, they even requested for a receipt and all of that. But the good thing is that now, as directed by the president, when we had the meeting, initially we said they will not be allowed to write the exams on campus. In fact, GES, as a matter of fact, never even said that they cannot write the exams because we don't even have the mandate in the first place. We said they could not write the exams on the school campus, but now they can go there and write the exam. They continue with their WASI. But their parent or guardian or whoever, relative, must escort them. They will not go alone. And when they are done with the paper, they will also be led back home.
So if any of these students are to appear without escorts, they can't write the paper? Right. Do I have Cassandra?
A guardian or your whoever.
Right. I want to know about the papers that may have been disrupted. Cassandra Chumampo. I want to know about the papers that may have been disrupted. In some cases, some of the papers were not finished. In other cases, you know, they caused some riots that may have disrupted the exams. Or how are those going to be dealt with?
Well, it happened after the integrated science paper. You know, after that paper, we have electives in between. And so we understand that some of them had some practical to do, which WAEC would find a way. They are lucky they will join the other phase. But the common, that's the core subject that they all write. I think math has not been written, English has not been written, and so that will be done. In fact, all that happened after the paper. And so the exams was not disrupted in any way, technically. Yeah.
Cassandra Chumampo, thank you very much for joining us. She's Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Education Service, letting us know that those 14 students who were initially banned from writing the WASI on their school campuses will now be allowed to return to their campuses under strict supervision from their guardians to write their paper. Let's stay on the story of education and go to Koforidua, where the Achim Ebuako Traditional Council is demanding the immediate closure of Bright Senior High School. The council says it has information suggesting that exam results from students of the school are usually falsified. Danny Oforiata is State Secretary for the Ebuako Traditional Council and joins us for more on this. Let's go straight to your allegations. What's informing your position that, first of all, this school may have falsified its previous results?
Opportunity. I think the Achim Ebuako Traditional Council is in Chebi. Chebi is the capital of the Achim Ebuako Kingdom, not Koforidua. So that's a matter of correction. Well, I think the Achim Ebuako Traditional Council has taken note and interest in the conduct of examinations of the private school, Bright Senior High School, over the last 10 years. The Traditional Council is informed that the school was constituted by a certain Mr. Bright Amponsa, private investor, who is the proprietor of the school. I think 90% of the students of Bright Senior High School are people who have previously sat for the WASI examinations in regular government secondary schools and who did not do well. And so the intention was to offer them opportunity to actually resit those exams. And that is the main reason why Bright Senior High School was established. But we have come to consider the point that Bright Senior High School was basically established also to exploit students. Now, the trick is that if you get a number of students coming out with A's and flying colors, then you'll be able to get more students, you know, who will pay much more money to enrich or for the aggrandizement of the managing owner of Bright Senior High School. And so you have a large number of students every year trooping to Bright Senior High School who are exploited because of the promise that they'll be able to make an A in the WASI exams, either by fair or foul. And so the managing proprietor of Bright Senior High School and their perpetrators, the Traditional Council is informed, go to the extent of compromising WAEC officials, and at times even buying examination papers for the students just for them to pass. I think we are duly informed that within the context of this year's exams, the managing proprietor of the school wasn't able to get the questions for the students. And so when attempts were made to compromise the WAEC official who was put in charge of the school to ensure that the students actually copy and misconduct themselves in the exams, when all those attempts failed, the managing proprietor, sensing danger for the collapse of his school, decided to invite the students to misconduct themselves and to engage them in violent activities. In the process, the WAEC officer, Mr. Jan Mensah, who was stationed to Bright Senior High School to ensure fairness and integrity of the examination process, was assaulted together with the Daily Graphic reporter. So we understand the conduct of the proprietor of Bright Senior High School as a serious aberration. I mean, any attempt to compromise the integrity of public examination has serious repercussions for our society. We think that examination is a sacred duty of a student. It's the only justifiable means by which a student is promoted or that advancement is made in terms of educational prospects. And when such situations happen, it compromises the integrity of the whole country and society.
Now, Mr. Ofori-Atta, now you have written this petition. Who have you forwarded it to, and have you gotten a response?
We haven't gotten any response. We issued a statement today. We have forwarded it to the Minister for Education and the appropriate authorities of Ghana Education Service, Director General of Ghana Education Service.
Because we understand that the private schools are under the supervision of the National Inspectorate Board, and that they have been moved from under the supervision of the Ghana Education Service, which is why the service has not yet made any pronouncement on that school.
Okay, thanks for the information. We also direct a statement to whoever the regulatory authority is and whoever is in charge. But that is why we also decided to make the statement public, to call public attention to what is happening in Bright Senior High School. There was a point that we are making, is that school is where people's character is molded. So if at the level of senior high school, you're telling students that it is all right for them to cheat and to misconduct themselves in examination, you understand? You're compromising the dignity and integrity of our national affairs. Because the same students who take over the national affairs and be in public positions, various administrative positions.
Now, so I want to quickly get this word in, because I understand that Mr. Nyako Amponsa, whom you accused in your statement, has responded, and he is dismissing the media reports that he instigated the students to attack. He's denying these allegations.
Well, I think the Traditional Council was properly informed by various interviews granted by Mr. Jan Mensah, the WAEC officer, and the Daily Graphic reporter, who reported vividly on what happened at the campus of the Bright Senior High School that day. We have no reason to believe that these officials, of Daily Graphic and the West African Examination Council will lie or whatever interest that they intend to pursue against the managing owner of Bright Senior High School. And mind you, we are saying that, we have monitored the activities of this institution over the last decade. And the reports that we keep on getting is that, for instance, a large number of products of the students, who get A's, flying colors, from Bright Senior High School and other institutions, are not able to meet the academic and intellectual competition in the various tertiary institutions in the country. And a large number of them drop out. You understand? The JoyNews Traditional Council is a major stakeholder in the education process in the traditional area. And so we will not allow anybody, for whatever purpose, for their selfish, personal, financial aggrandizement, to compromise the integrity of the examination process and to morally corrupt the youth of Hashim Obwaka. It's against the backdrop that Anam decided that this statement must be issued to call the attention of public officers and regulatory authorities who are in charge of examination to, as a matter of fact, take steps to close the school now.
Thank you. So much, Daniel Foriata, for joining us. He speaks for the Ebuakwa Traditional Council. Now, the school, like I said earlier, has dismissed media reports that its principal, Bryce Nyakwa-Mponsa, instigated students to attack WAEC officials supervising the WASI at the school center. WAEC has accused the principal of being behind an attack on its invigilators when the students were writing the social studies paper. Now, in a media release issued by the school, they noted that both the director and the teachers were not present during the chaos. Head of Communications, Dr. Isaac Asare, spoke with JoyNews.
We are cooperating with the police and WAEC. Our doors are open. Whatever they would need, whatever information they would need from us, we are ready to avail ourselves and also avail the students so they can also have such information. However, notwithstanding, we have learned so many, we've got so many stories from the students trying to tell their side of the story. But these things, we cannot independently say these are right or whatever. These are views of students. Some of them said they were prevented from going to the urinal. There are others who are reporting that they were slapped. One of them said her answer shading sheet was torn.
So live on the Pulse, that was Dr. Isaac Asare, Head of Communications at Bright Senior High School, which has come under scrutiny because the testimony of the WAEC officials who were assigned to that school to invigilate the candidates there is that the proprietor of the school, Bright Nyakwa-Mponsa, actually directed the students to attack the WAEC officials and a Daily Graphic reporter. Dr. Asare has joined us for some further clarification via Zoom. Dr. Asare, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse. Now, you say Bright Nyakwa-Mponsa was not there. How is it then that the Daily Graphic reporter and the WAEC invigilators all say they saw him there asking the students to attack them?
This is a shocking news to all of us, because at the time of the incidents, when some of us ran from the administration to the site, he was with us then. So I wonder how they claim he was there.
He was with you where?
And also, to justify it, before the incident, he wanted to go there, and he was prevented to go there by the security men at the post. So, and we have a video to that effect. So we don't know how these two can, what the allegation leveled against him marries with the video that we have provided.
So you say he was with you where?
At the administration.
Okay, so you were at the administration when you heard that the students were rioting?
Yes, and we had to run to the place to find out what was going on.
So the proprietor at the time took no interest in the examination that was being written?
He took interest. He made an attempt to go to the site, and he was prevented. So after he was prevented, he withdrew and he came to the administration.
At what point did he attempt going to the site?
It was before the incident.
When you say before the incident, what do you mean? Was it the morning of the examination? Had he heard that something was going on? What do you mean? What time?
The time, I can't tell the exact time, but it was in the morning, before they finished the paper.
So you are willing to let the world believe that your students on their own accord decided to chase a Daily Graphic reporter on a motorbike, and they beat him till he was bloody?
Yes. None of the teachers was there. And then...
not a single teacher was there? Not a single teacher was there?
Yeah, yes.
Who was invigilating the students?
No teacher was there. No
Who was
teacher was there.
invigilating the students? Who was invigilating the students?
External invigilators.
How many external invigilators were assigned to the school? Because from what we understand...
Before the start of the examination, in the morning before the start of the examination, a roll call was checked, and all invigilators from Bright School were taken out of the list. And so the teachers had to leave the school premises, and then the rest of us who are part of the administration were around in our various offices.
But the information that WIAC officials gave us is that the students hardly allowed the examination to begin, and that it was when the teachers were asked to leave that the principal asked the students to attack the invigilators who had remained.
Okay, that is his side of the story. Okay, and ours is that the proprietor was not there, the teachers were also not there, and therefore every act that was perpetrated was done by the students themselves, and no teacher or no school authority and or the proprietor instigated the students for the act.
Now, the Ebuakwa Traditional Council has released a statement that you are falsifying the reports of the students.
This act of violence, we have. In fact, yeah, we will thank Nananum for their concern, but we are yet to study the report or the statement from Nananum, and then we will give our response to Pirate in the course of time.
Right. Dr. Asari, thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Isaac Asari speaks for the Bright Senior High School at Kukrin Tumi. You're live on the Pulse here on the Joy News channel. My name is Daniel Dazi. We'll be right back to do more. Thanks for staying with us. This is The Pulse, and the Ghana National Association of Private Schools is pushing for the full resumption of schools across the country starting September this year. About 9.2 million basic learners have had their education stalled after government announced the closure of schools in March as part of measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. Acting President of NAPS, Dr. Damasus Trosong, joins me now in studio. Dr. Trosong, good afternoon. Help us understand the demand you're making.
Yes, we are saying that the time for full resumption of academic work is now. The time is ripe in September for us to resume academic work. And we have two major reasons for this. Now, the signs of the COVID-19, which was the main reason schools went down, tell us that all other sectors of the country are coming back on stream in full operation. You have a virus which is being contained effectively as we speak now. Yes, the cumulative numbers are going up, but we have the active virus population which is under control and currently being reduced significantly. So when you look at the signs of it, the time is ripe. When you also look at the fact that we have been away for 5 months now, by September, there will be 6 months. For any learner to be out of the school environment for a good half year
The risk we run is that by the time they resume academic work, they would have lost appetite for learning. That's the first thing. They would have lost much of the learning memory, which is usually a progressive thing. Over time, they have been away from the books. It's very difficult for them to go back and catch up whatever they have learned. And besides, as we talk now, we are aware that at home, there is nothing effective in terms of learning that is going on. So, in order to salvage our educational system, it is important that we return to the classroom and do effective classroom instruction.
When you say at home, there's nothing effective in terms of learning, is that not down to the schools? Because the schools should have proper online and supervisory systems which enable you do your work. Is that not the case?
Yeah. I'm sure when you talk about schools and effective virtual learning processes, you are probably looking at the major cities of Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and a few others. We have a significant majority of our school children who are in the rural areas. Now, the data we have is that when you talk about internet access in homes, we are talking about 22% internet access. We are talking of 15% access to computers at home right now. So if you are rolling out a virtual learning system, you have about a fifth of your population who will have access. And mind you, access doesn't even mean that the people, those who have access, are actually benefiting from it. You can have access and yet decide not to. So even the kids who may have internet in their houses are probably not making anything out of those learning opportunities that are created. Besides that, you see, virtual learning works when parents assist their wards.
Okay.
How many of our parents are assisting their wards while they are at home with the virtual learning being rolled out? And again, you see, we are even talking about the quality. The quality of what is happening now is in doubt. A vast majority of our teachers, more than 90% of our teachers, were not trained to deliver distance or virtual learning. They were trained to deliver face-to-face classroom instruction. So if you catch such a person without any orientation, without any training, and tell the person to implement virtual learning, definitely there will be a gap there. They need to be trained before they can roll out the virtual learning process.
I acknowledge the fact that a very small percentage of Ghanaians have access to the internet, but we do have the largest percentage of our nation being able to listen to radio, for instance. Have we properly exploited the possibility of using community radio, of using radio stations?
Yes, in learning, you make use of as many of the sensory organs as possible for children to assimilate what you are teaching. When you talk about radio, you are effectively talking of the visual senses, but the oral senses. But in learning, the visual is much more important compared to the oral. So if you say community radio, yes, they can roll out community radio learning programs all over the place. Yes, you may be able to even encourage the children to sit down and listen. But as to whether they would understand, as to how assessment will be done, as to what the quality of that instruction will be, there will be question marks there.
Have you considered the fact that research has shown that the amount of time that you spend in the same atmosphere is what actually increases the possibility of you getting COVID? So yes, we can go to church for 2 hours, we can sit in a car, in a trot for about 20 or 30 minutes. But you go to school for hours on end, and you could be there from morning to evening. And that actually increases the chances of transmission.
Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, I joined a bus for more than 12 hours to come here. So even with the public transport, you know, there are times you join the public transport over an extended period of time. But the point you have made about sitting in the same environment for long is true. Our proposals about reopening schools also comes with proposals on how we can deliver this effectively and reduce the risk of contracting the disease. For instance, you see that the final years who are back, they are not starting class, they are not doing classes 8 or more, 5 or more hours. They have truncated their period of classes. They begin 9 and they close at 11. In this case, because we don't want the children to be in the same environment for long, we can break up their lessons such that they do short periods at a time in order to reduce the risk. You see, we are not, when we talk about full resumption, the full resumption will come with a lot of changes because the school system cannot be the same anymore. But to have everybody just sit at home and pretend that there is some learning going on by virtue of virtual learning and keep on and on for more than half a year is going to be devastating for our educational system.
Shouldn't the parents be making the ultimate decision? It's their children.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It is their children and it is our children. In many cases, we love these children as much as their parents love them. That's why we are into this whole business of private sector education. The parents should have a say in this. We agree. And that's why we are opening up the dialogue for the parents to talk, for us to talk, for government to come on board so that we can all take a unanimous decision that it is time for us to go back to school.
When the final years were returning to school, I remember very well having that conversation on Prime Morning and you calling in. You told us at the time that you had submitted a petition to government, listed a number of demands or proposals. Yeah. What was the response from governments then?
Well, the response was positive because eventually private schools were included in the distribution of PPEs, which happened to be one of our key demands from government. And the timelines we also gave for return of final year students was very much within the time that they were recalled. So to a large extent, part of our demands were met. But of course, we also made proposals about the full resumption for the other sectors to be September. That's what we are pushing for right now and ensuring that we return to school in September.
Okay. So we'll be joined shortly by some health officials so that we continue the COVID conversation. But I just want to quickly wrap up with Dr. Shirosong about the age of the children and how feasibly we can get people in preschool, in lower primary, to adopt social distancing protocols. How feasible is it?
Well, we just did a test case with the final year students. When they were returning to school, the debate was how can they effectively implement social distancing? Wouldn't we have cases where some are removing their mask and giving to their friends to wear and all of that? Look, the school environment is a place where we instill a lot more discipline than even the home environment. Before I came on set, there was the debate about students, final year students, who are writing WASI and who are becoming very indisciplined. I can tell you that one of the reasons why we are facing this problem this year is the fact that the students have been home for far too long. So the school environment discipline is missing in them. So if we have younger children back to school, we are trained to do a certain job. We are trained to discipline them to ensure that they do what we say they should do. So we can manage that with some difficulty, but I think
because of course it won't be the same as an 18-year-old SHS3 student or a 14 or 13-year-old JHS3 student will not be the same as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old.
Yeah, admittedly. But you also would recall that we train teachers to handle various levels with various levels of expertise. The way you would find it difficult handling a nursery or kindergarten teacher will not be, child, will not be the same as someone who has been trained to handle this kindergarten person. We will not have 100% social distancing. It's not existing anywhere.
Because I was just reminded that private schools are very notorious for hiring pupil teachers who are not exactly trained in professional settings to handle some of these children.
Yes. But let me ask you a counter question. Would you send your child to a private school or to a government school? I can answer for you. I know you would prefer your child going to the private school.
That's your assumption.
Why would you do that? It's because you would be assured of better care of this child than in the public schools. So whether they are coming with first degrees or they are master's holders we are hiring or not, what we do is that we have a system of training. No one goes to a private school and the next day jumps into the classroom and begins teaching.
Right.
They go through a process of orientation which makes them to handle the children like any expert you would find anywhere else.
Dr. Damas Sextortion, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
And you're still live on the Pulse here on the JoyNews channel. We're going to stay on the subject of COVID-19 because there's been a sharp decline in the number of active COVID-19 cases in Ghana, giving a hope that the nation can defeat the virus if the preventive protocols are strictly followed. And thank you very much for staying with us. Now, like I said earlier, there's been a sharp decline in the number of active COVID-19 cases in Ghana, giving hope that Ghana can defeat the virus if the preventive protocols are strictly followed. Now, in its latest reporting, the number of active cases declined from 3,200 cases to 2,400 cases, whilst following impressive recoveries and discharges. Now, 4 out of the 16 regions, Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, and Northeast, are without any case of COVID-19, whilst the other 12 have also seen significant decline in active infection. So far, nearly 94% of persons who have contracted the virus have recovered, whilst 215 have unfortunately died. The Ghana Health Service says despite easing the restrictions, infection rates have declined due to the measures in place to check the spread. Leader of Risk Communication and Community Engagement for the National COVID-19 Response Team, Dr. Abuaji Da Costa, is joining us for more on this. Encouraging news for us, Dr. Da Costa. Should we be rejoicing over the progress made so far? Dr. Da Costa, if you can please unmute your microphone so that we can...
Thank you so much. Let me greet your viewers and say that even though the news seems encouraging, we still have the virus in the country, and I will certainly encourage Ghanaians to continuously follow the preventive etiquettes, because that is our belief that if everyone is following the preventive etiquettes, we will be able to reduce the infections to the barest minimal. And that is what we target. So we begin by saying that we have to learn how to live with the virus, and we instituted the protocols. We did a little bit of community engagement, stakeholder consultation. Everyone is playing their part. So we also believe that as people are playing their part, the leaders of organizations, being churches, workplaces, team leaders, COVID-19 teams within various institutions should still make it a point to make sure that the protocols are adhered to strictly.
Right. Let me welcome Dr. Peter Kojo-Kwashe into the conversation. He's a senior research fellow at, he's a senior research fellow at WAC, that's the West African Institute for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens. Good afternoon, Doc.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners too.
Great. So I'm sure you'd find this number very encouraging, this recent drop in the rate of active cases.
Yes, it certainly seems to show that we are going in the right direction, and hopefully that continues.
Okay. We will come to some other issues of fake drugs, which I know you're very passionate about, Dr. Kwashe, but I'm going to quickly go back to Dr. Boajo da Costa and ask that you have named a number of factors which could, which could account for the increase in recoveries and discharges that we are seeing, but it could also mean that it's the way the virus behaves here in the country. Did we just, are we just lucky in Ghana?
Thank you. I think, like you are rightly aware, across the globe, scientists begin to study the behavior of the virus in various settings. Now, what I'll say is that the government, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, and also citizens' participation has been very good. The things that the government have put in place and that of the Ghana Health Service and Ministry of Health seems to be the things actually helping in reducing these infections in the country. Yes, obviously, there could be other factors that we don't know. Some are talking about vitamin D, which we normally get it from the sun, and others, but we still need studies to actually confirm these. So it is really encouraging, but we should not lose our guard. We should make sure that we follow the preventive etiquette strictly, and I will dwell on that every day, every second, for citizens to take it very, very serious, to wear their mask when they are stepping out, to make sure that they wash their hands with soap and running water, and also to follow the other preventive etiquettes. Boosting of immunity has become essential. So it is important that, like the president has been calling for people to eat our local food, this is the time Ghanaians should patronize our own local food, such as the contomerates and the vegetables that we have. I think they contain some good vitamins that will be able to help. So, yes, let's continue to adhere to the safety protocols, and I think we will make headway in reducing the virus.
Finally, I just had a conversation with the national president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, who are calling Dr. Boajo da Costa for a reopening of all schools across all levels because of the number of active cases we are seeing, which is going down. Would this be an appropriate response? Would this be a good move?
Thank you. I think we may have to look at it critically. Like, if you remember now, the final years are in school, and to me, the best place or the safest place for the students to be is boarding house. If we all agree that lockdown is good in limiting the spread of the virus, then the students there are in lockdown in a certain way. So we have to study it. Using that as a pilot, we should be able to determine whether the schools should be opened or not. But further consultations will actually be needed. You cannot just say that you are just opening. It may need that there might be infrastructural changes, there might be logistical need, and all the others. People might have to undergo several trainings and others. So certainly we have to look into this to see if we have to open the schools in September or not. But I remember the education minister has said that school is not reopening. So we still have to engage and see what happens.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boajeda Costa, for joining us this afternoon on The Pulse. Now, the proliferation of fake COVID-19 drugs on the Ghanaian markets will soon see a change as West Africa Institute for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens is developing a model to detect fake COVID-19 drugs. Senior Research Fellow Dr. Peter Kojo-Kwashi, as you know, is with us via Zoom. Tell us more about this model, Dr. Kwashi.
Okay. Sorry, I feel I have to make a clarification. The point of our research is not to detect fake drugs. It's to detect which ones of the purported drugs are actually working. There's a slight nuance, but I think it's important to make that. So what we are doing is there's something called pseudovirus, whereas we have a backbone of a different virus which has been made inactive, which means it's non-infectious. And then you can then complement this, in our case, with a gene which expresses part of the COVID-19 caused virus, that's SARS-CoV-2. So if we express the surface proteins of that virus in this backbone, then we have a viral infection, but it's only one round. So it's not able to be infectious to you. So it's safer to use in the lab compared to using the actual virus. And then now we look at when you have these compounds or these extracts, whether they prevent infection or not. And that is a way that we are using now to screen some of the extracts which are on the market, both for purporting to be COVID-19 and other viral preparations.
Your method of developing this pseudovirus reminds me of what I was reading about this Oxford scientist, Dr. Kwashi, who is developing a vaccine. And it is one of the models used in vaccine development, right?
Yes, yes. The pseudoviral, so basically this is something that was developed partly during the HIV era, because that was one of the easiest ways to study HIV. And the backbone we are using in this case is actually an HIV backbone. Because of how in its day HIV was as terrible and as big of a public health scare as COVID-19 is today, there was a lot of research into it. So one of the benefits of that research is that we developed a lot of lentiviral backbones which you can use for other approaches. It's used in cancer and things like this. So it's a very well-used strategy to do when you have a virus which you feel is maybe a little bit too infectious for what you want to do.
So what have you found so far? Have you tested it against any market drugs? Have you found any of our drugs to be efficacious or effective against COVID?
So we have a number of drugs which we've been doing the pre-screening, which is toxicity screening.
Right.
And then alongside while we've been doing the COVID-19, doing the pseudoviral development. So as of now, we've just got the pseudovirus working because it took some time, obviously, to get the reagents into the country. And that has been a sort of a stumbling block for us. But now we've got the reagents into the country and we've got it where we are starting to see the results. So it's, you know, research and science takes a bit of a time. So we're hoping that within the next few weeks, we will have some data and we'll have some report to give to the Center for Plant Medicine Research.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Peter Kojo-Kwashi. You are a Senior Research Fellow at WACBIP. We are going to stay on the subject of COVID, and there are grimmer impact stories of COVID-19 on businesses. Now, as revealed by the latest COVID-19 business tracker of the Ghana Statistical Service, more than 100,000 firms, mostly in the hospitality industry, have had to close down either temporarily or permanently. From huge debts to employee layoffs, many of the affected businesses are yet to find their feet and bounce back into operations. My colleague, Manuel Kranting, has been talking to a restaurant manager and has come through with this report.
So at the Saba Dining Hall at the University of Ghana, operated by Maxi Kitchen Services and Restaurant, it's a contest between cobwebs and dust on who gets to rule over the entire space that has been left behind. As one of the most popular eateries on campus, it played host to thousands of students and university staff daily. With the arrival of COVID-19 and the closure of schools came the exit of its patrons. Gabriel Nyako is the administrator of the restaurant.
Most of the students around all the hostel comes here to eat because it's an old restaurant here. We first have our COVID in campus here, one person had it. So that's where the university has to send all the students away. So automatically we have to also shut our place down.
Just as everyone else, Gabriel did not see COVID-19 coming. So he stocked up as usual, only it will be the last in a long while.
Even for the chicken that we bought, some is about 35,000 that we have to pay bit by bit. Even the rice itself is around 12,000. The perishable goods, in a day we normally spend about 5,000 to 7,000 for those ones. Yeah, everything goes. This fridge that we see, everything was stocked.
Okay.
So as they come and they expire, then we start removing them. We have the person who's in charge of that.
Okay.
So the whole place was stocked with our staff. So as you can see, everything that was in has been thrown away. It's a rented place that we have been here for about 25 years. We've paid for almost half a year. Now we are talking to them. We are negotiating so that we pay bit by bit, so that as little that people also owns that brings in, then we just slash it out and spread it along.
But the woes of his company do not end there. It's a double jeopardy if you add employee demands. Gabriel tells me he's yet to access government stimulus package even after applying a while ago.
We are yet to get a feedback. And there's a process that you have to go through. If you have an association, you can do that through the association. But we did it as individual.
As an individual.
Yes. So here alone, we have about 50 plus.
In just this
this place.
Okay.
And at the sports directorate, we have about 10.
Okay.
They are also gone. Then we have the one that's on contracts.
Okay.
When there's a program that is around 20.
Okay.
So they are all 100 people.
Almost all of them.
So as we trying to start now, we just left with about less than 10 people now working with. So it will be very difficult for us to get and pay them. So we recently, I even wrote to the JRA to give us a space of time to pay our staff payees.
As government continues to ease the COVID-19 restrictions, Gabriel, like many others in the hospitality market, hopes for an opportunity to return to business ways.
Like for example, the Maths and Science that's supposed to become on June, I mean, that one also has been cancelled due to that. When this corporate event that takes 3 days, because University of Ghana is a big community, and we also benefit from those things. So if those one can be released or to a certain number, conferences to a certain number, it will help us. And also praying that maybe by September, students will be allowed to come back to school.
You're live on The Pulse with me, Daniel Dazi. We'll take a few messages. When we come back, the Police Criminal Investigations Department is on a manhunt for a number of persons it believes are members of a nude sharing and pornography syndicate. You're still live on The Pulse. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the police CID says it is on the hunt for a number of persons it believes are members of a syndicate leaking people's nude photos and videos and then blackmailing them to extort money. On Friday, investigators arrested a man they believe is the leader of a syndicate after a 6-month operation. The suspect, Anderson Ofosuhene, aged 39, has been remanded into police custody and he is helping with the investigation. Now, the group is into the business of sexual exploitation in which they threaten the release of sexual images or information to coerce their victims. Director General of the CID, COP Isaac Kenyeboa, addressed the issue.
The cybercrime unit was established in 2015 and has since recorded a lot of cases related to obscenity, nude pictures, blackmail, child pornography. Year on year, cases related to nude pictures, blackmail has ranked number 3 in the frequent reported cases to the cyber crime unit of the CID headquarters. On the average, victims lose about 420,000 Ghana cedis. I say again, 420,000 Ghana cedis to perpetrators of this crime annually through ransom paid to stop them from having their pictures or videos published. Empress Lake website has become the preferred medium by the perpetrators of this act over the past 5 years. The website allows the general public to post nude pictures, videos of others on their website and demand ransom ranging from 500 cedis to 2,000 Ghana cedis via mobile phone, mobile money before they are removed. Unfortunately, because these images or videos are published before removal, the images and videos get to the hands of individuals who also use it to blackmail victims for the second time or even third time.
Now we are in studio with our resident IT consultant, Kobe Spikey. You don't seem surprised at all by what you're hearing.
No, at all.
This is something that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's been going on for a very long time. And I'm just as glad as everyone else that the perpetrators of these crimes have been busted.
So what advice can you give viewers out there on keeping themselves safe from persons like this who can get their information and publish it on these nefarious websites?
Well, my first advice is always don't even do it in the first place, because the mistake a lot of people do is they think, oh, once I've done it and I've deleted it, I'm done. But there's so many ways that these videos, photos could still remain on your device. So let's just say you did a video and then you sent it to your partner and the partner deleted it, but it was still on your phone. And your phone, some phones have automatic backup to the cloud, and this video goes to the cloud. Unfortunately for you, someone hacks into your cloud storage and gets access to these videos. It could be leaked, you could be blackmailed. Secondly, someone snatches your phone in traffic. You're talking on the phone and then it's snatched. That person would have access to the phone, go in, and then get all these videos and images and then use them to blackmail you later. Also, you could have given your phone out as a gift to someone, and what people don't realize is when you delete something from your phone, it doesn't actually leave. If you delete from your phone, your computer, it's not really gone. It's there, it's just that the space has been marked as available so that other things can take that space. So what usually happens is that if I should take your phone right now and run something like a data recovery software on your phone, I can recover data that has been on your phone from as early as when you started using it.
Wow.
Yes, because people think that, oh, data storage is sequential. It really is not. It's just, placing things anywhere that it deems fit at that time. So you could delete something here and that space could be marked available, but there's a high possibility that another data going to cover it may not happen. It may go put it somewhere else where it deems fit. Now, when that's done and someone does data recovery, then all the old stuff that you thought you deleted is available. And now someone can take all that stuff and then blackmail you with it.
Interesting. So the first thing is do not do it at all.
No.
If you have done it by mistake, how do you make sure that you've removed the data so that it doesn't come back to haunt you?
Okay, so one, make sure that you've deleted it from every storage where it could probably be, and then check your cloud storage. Sometimes some phones like the iPhones, Google smartphones, Android-based smartphones back up stuff to Google Cloud or Google Photos. You want to check there and see if it's been backed up there. You want to check your Apple Photos to see if it's backed up there. And those places, when you delete it, it doesn't also delete at once. It goes to your recycle bin. So check and see if it's in your recycle bin. Sometimes you may not even, you may think that, okay, I've deleted on the phone, and how do I make sure that it's not recoverable? You may have to do what we call a full wipe, which is either doing a hard reset multiple times or flashing the phone multiple times so that you overwrite every possible...
I think the part about not doing it at all is much simpler. Yes. It really removes a lot.
Because imagine you take your phone to a phone repairer and they're done repairing and they tell you, oh, we need to test the phone, and you have stuff on the phone.
It's another thing altogether.
Even connecting your phone to someone's laptop. Some people's laptops have data, that can extract it from your phone. So I connect my phone to your laptop. Your laptop just starts to pull all my photos and videos. I'll never know.
It's another thing altogether. Thank you very much, Kobe Spikey.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us with that vital information. Now, Communications Minister Esther Osei-Akufo indicates that an increase in cybercrimes, there is an increase in cybercrimes, and she says her ministry is taking steps to curb the practice.
Point of contact at the National Cybersecurity Center has improved the reporting of cybersecurity incidents, and the ministry will continue to create awareness to empower the citizens to report criminal use of the internet. Let me reiterate the fact that it is important for us to note that sharing of these images online can expose one to the activities of cyber criminals. So the best form of protection is to desist from doing that at all. Now, the arrest of the suspect in this case was made possible through collaboration with relevant stakeholders. In this case, the Cybersecurity Center and the police CID. And I must commend them for the excellent work that they have done in this regard. This will not be the end of it, and the collaboration can only be deepened to go after cyber criminals wherever they hide. Now, to even strengthen the hand of the law enforcement agencies, the ministry has also submitted a draft cybersecurity bill to Cabinet after extensive stakeholder consultations on the contents of the draft bill. We hope that following Cabinet and parliamentary approval, the bill will be passed into law by the end of the
Welcome back. This is The Pulse. Today we continue our build-up to the minority political parties and independent candidate election debate as we count down to December 7. The Imani Center for Policy and Education and your election headquarters bring to you the minority political parties and independent candidate election debate. Our guest today is Carl Ebo Morgan, another independent candidate who is confident of beating both the NDC and the NPP come December 7. Be sure to tune in every weekday till next Wednesday and get to know the candidates better. Mr. Morgan, good afternoon. Hope all is well.
Yeah, good afternoon, Daniel. I'm okay.
Okay, great. So you are a management consultant, management and investment consultant. Tell us about your education.
Well, I finished University of Ghana, a combined major in psychology and political science. I went to the US, and then I did political psychology as a course. Over here, it's not offered. They are separate, but there it's a whole one subject.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
I've
you did
done
political psychology.
Yes.
And then you came back to work as a consultant.
Yes.
What are some of the things you've done? As a consultant.
As a consultant, I've led companies. Especially this is a GAMCA Association of Microfinance Companies Yeah. And yes, I consulted for them, and I had some, I secured some funding for them from French agency for development. I think so. That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had some, and also some individual investors. We led them to establish themselves in the country, even in the energy sector. The PP, they have the private something with the ECG. Yes, they build solar energy centers, and they are linked to the national grid through the way. And I led 3 companies to successfully integrate their production into the national grid.
So you basically read us your CV in summary.
Yes.
It's quite an illustrious career.
Right.
Why would you choose to enter politics in this form?
Very interesting, Daniel. You know, all this while I studied political science, so that has been at the back of my mind everywhere I go. When I went to the US, I joined the former President Obama's primary campaign as a volunteer with the Democratic Party strategist, one Professor Weston, Dick Weston of Emory University. He's a psychiatrist and a political scientist at the same time. So he was working for Obama's team, and I volunteered with him. I learned a lot. And when I finished my first degree, I went into politics here in Ghana. I stood as independent parliamentary candidate in 2004 in my constituency, Upper Dinshrawa East constituency, yes, in the central region. And I didn't win, but I made a lot of impact. The campaign that I put up is still, my record has not been beaten. Nobody has ever done that. And I think I'm the reigning champion, and I'm proud of that. So,
reigning champion in terms of what?
Of the campaign, an independent campaign that I mounted in 2004 in the constituency.
That's Upper Dinshrawa
West.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the result?
I was the 3rd, MPP was the one, number 2, and NDC as usual, and I was the 3rd, but impressive 3rd. Yes. So if you Google right away, you'll find all the information.
Yeah, my team is working on it.
Okay. So whatever happened, the results, everything is there.
Okay. I mean, so you decided to run as an independent.
Yes.
In Upper Dinshrawa West in 2004. You were unsuccessful.
Sure. And after that, I went to the US.
Okay.
So on my return, I still have been independent-minded, seriously. Through my career, I've had some stints with NDC, both NDC and PP. But I found that I don't belong to any of them. I still have some instincts that leads me to go solo. So there are certain things that I can do that when you join them, their rank, it will take you centuries even to get a shot at the primaries to contest the presidency race. So I decided the best way is to be on my own.
I have here the results for Upper Dinshrawa West in 2004. I'm not seeing Calebo Morgan. There's Benjamin Kofi Aye, MPP, who led.
No, you Googled the wrong one. The constituency was one, Upper Dinshrawa constituency. Then it was divided before 2004 election to East and West.
What I have here before me, election 2004, Upper Dinshrawa West constituency.
Sure, my name should be there.
It's not here.
My name should be there.
Go ahead.
My name should be there. It's all over. I have interviews conducted by Chronicle newspaper.
We are still doing our checks.
That's indicated that the people are going to vote skirt and blouse. It's still there.
Right. So I mean, okay. We are still doing our checks.
All right.
We are still doing our checks.
Okay.
I mean, we will find it.
Right.
We will find it. It's just a matter of time.
Sure.
So you ran as independent. You did not win in Parliament.
Yes.
So it must have given you an indication that in Ghana, independent candidates don't make much of a showing.
Yes. At that time, 16 years back, It's not an easy thing at that time. Some people were questioning, asking me, who is going to be your presidential candidate, you being an independent candidate. It was a tough sell, but I was able to convince them. Like I said, all culminated in my losing, but they didn't understand the idea of the independent scheme. They wanted everybody to belong to a political party, one political party or another. So that was it. But now, I can assure you that there's no better time than now for the independent to make impact.
There's no better time than now?
Yes, for the independent presidential system that we are trying to create to make an impact.
And just a quick one, because our viewers are watching.
Right.
You stood in Upper Dintra East.
Right. East, yes.
You stood in Upper Dintra East.
It is there.
And it's here. Nana Mwako MPP, 68.1%.
It is not higher.
That's, Kojoeje point FIFA, NDC,
yes.
20.4%. And Kalebo Morgan, Independent, 9.7%.
Yes.
That's 3,000 votes. You got just about half of the NDC.
Never mind. It was a strange thing as we are discussing here.
It looks like Evo Green Street at Ayawaso.
Exactly. The whole presidential candidate.
in 2000. No, he also stood for parliament in that year.
In that year, okay,
he also pulled quite the impressive show. So anyway,
correct.
So you decided to run, and you believe that it's time for the independent presidential candidate.
Sure, yes.
This is the time. What makes you say so?
I think so because Ghanaians are fed up with these two establishment parties. When you survey, just talk to people. Sometimes I disguise myself and I bought Trotro just to listen to the views of the people. I bought TAR6 and so on. In my own small investigation, as a psychology student, I know how to sample, instigate the people to talk. And it is the best place to go is on board the Trotro. You sit at the back, you throw a question. When issues of the day are being discussed on radio, you put across something. To ginger the people, listen to various views. Everybody is tired of MPP. And look at what is happening today. This registration, voter registration, simple. And they are killing ourselves. So, stopping people even from going to vote. It's ridiculous, not in 2021. So the general view of the people is that we need a change. A qualitative, not a change from NDC or MPP to NDC. That is more of the same. You're not nothing. They want to see a new crop of politicians coming to lead the nation.
Now, for people to simply know who you are as a presidential candidate,
right,
you need to campaign actively across the country.
Sure.
How are you going to bankroll it?
I'm doing my bit, and we're forming an association. We have a coalition that we all want to come together. It's a Kilon task, as you say.
A coalition of independent presidential
aspirants.
But you are all running against each other?
No. For now, no.
So SIPA is running together?
Together.
Who is the candidate for SIPA?
As part of the preparation that we are organizing this debate. It's part of the preparation to choose our leader. We've almost done, but we want to test our skills. Who best used to be the leader of SIPA?
So eventually SIPA would collapse into one person?
One person. That's what we intend.
Would that person be you?
Sure.
So you believe you will lead SIPA?
I will. And even if I don't win, whoever wins, I'll be part of it, and we will all campaign because I have my strength. Other people have their strength. We put them, we collate or coalesce them together, and we move.
But you see, it sounds like you're forming another political party, isn't it? It's like SIPA. If you come together and form SIPA.
Yeah, it's not a political party. We want to call it independent presidential system, because now the people are now aware of the importance. Because there's a grammar for a third force, and a third force, all the small political parties that we know have been compromised. We all know what happens when you come up. The two parties will make sure you go nowhere. If Dr. Indian could not make an impact, it's very difficult to form another party. The idea of political party brings some sort of ideas that scare so many people. Look at what is happening today. The two parties, it's time to go. There can never be any good time than now. Daniel.
How can you form that machinery to run the affairs of the state? I understand that, but I understand SIPA is a growing organization, but let's face it.
We have a third force, a platform also coming up. We want to coalesce, all of them, all of us.
So who's the third force platform made of?
It's also a coalition of CSOs and some of the independent parliamentary, including Jacob. You know Jacob Osei-Yeboah.
Yes,
he's also there.
The former independent
presidential. He's also there with other guys, and we are all coming, trying to make sure we present one person. But if you go to the election divided, we rather stay home and chop our banku and sleep, because Ghana will not take us serious. If you say you want to present something different from what we've seen or we've known, and you come divided, forget about it.
You're very passionate about this.
Yes, I am.
Are you a family man? Are you married?
Yes, I'm married.
What does your wife think about this?
Very supportive.
Very supportive.
Very, very
When you
supportive.
first told her you wanted to run for president, what did she
She
tell
was
you?
shocked.
She was shocked. Did she laugh?
Definitely. As if you were there. She started laughing with a kiss.
Really?
So,
how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids.
So they were all there?
I made an announcement in a family table we were eating.
How did you say it? How did you say it?
How did I say it?
Yeah, how did you say it? How did you say it?
I told hey folks, hey mommy, your husband is going to be the next president. So what are you talking about? Are you joking?
Okay.
Then the kids also said, oh daddy, you wasted a lot of money on this 204 parliamentary election. Why do you want to? Are you sure you can beat MPP and this? So forget about it. There's always a try. You have to make an attempt. You cannot relax and say, fold our hands and no, we throw our hands in despair and say, let them go. No, we should challenge them. Because there's so many things that we have that they don't have. They've come to their wits' end. They have no new ideas at all. No, at all. They only recycling the same old stories.
With the greatest of respects, Mr. Morgan, even your wife and kids did not believe you.
No, it's normal. It's a psychological issue.
So why should we? Why should the rest of Ghana believe you?
The rest of Ghana must believe me that because I have a lot to which, look, I want to run for a reason. First of all, I want to run because Ghana needs a change. That is number one. Number two, Ghana is tired of this dichotomization of the society. You are either MPP or you are out, or you are NDC or you are out. We want a neutral playing field. I want to run because we need to change our system. The system is broken. It sucks, really. Yeah. And we have to come with brand new ideas. And I have a lot to
I'm
offer.
sure that when we have the independent candidates debates, you'll be able to address Ghana.
Absolutely.
And give us more of your ideas.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Pulse today. Carly Morgan, independent presidential candidate, probably the leader of the coalition of independent presidential aspirants for the year 2020. You never know. Very confident man. Join that debate, details of which you're going to see now. Let's start live on the Pulse with me, Daniel Dazi. We stay on the subject of elections because tension is continuing to mount as we inch closer to the 2020 general elections. There's been bloody clashes that has resulted in fatalities. Bono Regional Police Command has arrested 3 persons in connection with the violence that occurred at Nkrankwanta in the Doma West district of the Bono region, where 1 person died with 2 others in critical condition after a renewed clash between some supporters of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, and the National Democratic Congress, NDC. Let's hear from the NDC, who accuse the security of lying to protect the real culprits, who they claim are members of the NPP.
I understand one of our people was also hit by a stray bullet. He is receiving treatment at the hospital now. We have spoken to our people, and then calm has returned to the place. We expect that the police will take over a thorough investigation and bring the perpetrators of these heinous acts to book. We don't like the situation where they will keep investigating and then nothing happens, and then the people are emboldened to continue acting. We as a political party are going to put together all of these incidents, and we are going to follow up to make sure that whoever created the problem is brought to book by the police.
Are you looking at probably putting in mechanisms within your party on how some of these matters at the district level are reported and amplified to the national level, so your members at the grassroots do not resort to violence when they have issues like this?
Most definitely. We have always spoken to our people to always remain calm, because these are armed attacks and we cannot arm our people, and so we have always spoken to them to remain calm. The national executive will take it up. Yeah, like I said, we are compiling all the cases of shooting and whatever that has taken place in all the various police stations, registration centers, and we are going to make sure that we collaborate with the security agencies so that they will take up the issue and do their work. Once the people are assured that the security agencies will bring the perpetrators to book, I am sure that they will not take the law into their own hands.
Now, the NPP is also blaming the shooting on security agencies.
Both NDC and NPP, the arm each of them may have a catapult. Yes, catapult.
Catapult.
They were shooting catapult. Okay. None of that was. So the security, they had shot at our boys.
Okay.
So every single shot we see was from the security guys. In fact, when I made the dissect and I made the security, I made them aware that we know them. We've identified them. In fact, the regional commander was here the night the incident happened, and we identified one soldier, and they know them. In fact, the division commander knows the police. We've identified the police guy.
Fine. Let me just ask you briefly. Was this a warning shot, or was a shot aimed at the person?
No. They shot at the boys. That's why one of our guys died. He died of gun wounds. One is at the hospital right now as we speak. So the security shot at our boys.
All right.
Our boys directly. I'm coming. You know what makes it so sad is that a soldier man asked my youth organizer to go away. So he sat in his car. Then the policeman shot at the tires of the car, deflated the tires. My youth organizer got out of his car, gave his car key to one inspector collateral that they've demobilized my car. So take the keys. In the presence of the security, NDC guys came out from the bush, then one of the cars, then one motor. The security destroyed all other motors, amounting to about 20.
So if I get you right, this would not have reached this point but for the way the security personnel handled it. Exactly.
And I've made this point clear to any security guy who had been in a meeting with the DISEC, the regional police commander, the regional army commander. I've told the divisional commander, everybody, that if the security had been modest, this wouldn't have happened.
Now, it's unclear what really sparked the violence, but speaking on News Desk, Public Relations Officer of the Bono Regional Police Command, Augustine Kingsley Opon, said both factions were armed.
They were fighting each other. You will not be able to denote between NPP and DC. So, police tried to stop and bring peace, but nobody will listen. Due to this, some men were called to come and add to the policemen and military who were there. And, you know, when we have a situation like this, we have what we call graduation force. You start talking and then you increase the situation as per how you will repel those people who are involved in that. It led to the using of rubber bullets to disperse the people. It was after they have all run away from the place that we realized there was one guy who was lying there with people around, helped the police to take him to the hospital. And it was at Doma Include Presbyterian Hospital that the doctor declared him dead on arrival.
So he died as a result of a bullet wound from...
We are suspecting that it's a bullet wound.
From the police
that
from...
That will come out when we establish an investigation to find out some aspect of the things that went wrong there.
Were any of those engaged in the violence armed?
Yes. We overheard shooting, sound of weapons from those who were running away. So it means that some of them were armed.
Have you made any arrests so far?
Yes. So far we have arrested 3 persons who are assisting police for our investigation.
Are you able to...
now at Doma Divisional Command.
Now, a similar incident happened in Banda, where again, the 2 major political parties, NDC and MPP, which has escalated the tensions in the constituency. But what at all is causing this violence? And could this electoral history be the reason for the tension and mistrust in the constituency? We're joined on the phone by the constituency chairman for the MPP, Charles J. Mr. J, thanks for joining us. What is causing this violence? Mr. J, what is causing this violence? Mr. J, can you hear me? Mr. J, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm not Mr. J, I'm Mr. Ansa.
Thanks for the correction. What is causing this violence at Banda?
My case was not Banda, was Dumping, Pipisa.
Right.
Hello, I can hear you.
Are you in the Banda constituency?
No, we are in the Western region.
Dumping. Right. Thank you very much. And so what happened at Dumping? Unfortunately, we've lost Mr. Ansa. The apologies. There might have been some mix-up with getting the guest in. We will continue, though. Now, we saw a curtain ceremony of a 20-seater toilets facility at Wasa Dumping by the NDC parliamentary candidate of Takwan Swayim. John Justice Aban was called off due to intimidation by the military. This is according to the chief of the area, Nanaria the Fourth, who alleged the MP deployed the military to disrupt the ceremony. Residents were unhappy.
Areas na oye hu ya wanwa de Dumping kro what them one baby awoja wonan sabe wa ba ya astrotef inti nkwa football bola sabe one say wo wana na honorable justice Aban ona ni pem aba ahano adon hu yi de wonye janan bia inti no why na agenda ona ni sko no kotokum ska onye obi aniska ofu de or they crow no sabe why janan bia into the pe they only see 20-seater WC MP no or preventing there on penny and then nankaya baka to source but the way I work for soldier for no police for abakare was Somalia and I abakare me yawo baby ekwesi meanwhile no onyako oya there here ukrowi ade ukrowi nyibi oni ejanan sabe wo police station why has to the farmer one it's MP no chrome MC no chrome MC and MP they are all coming from this place let's say what's one penny and MC you know and that's why former presiding member where the assembly member da it's in fact as I'm a walk do I am one me will be that it's in your pass from day na yim there 7 December Ghana football to Obama John Dramani Mahama na them project we will still come and do it we are soldier for what's one.
Now, we understand the NDC parliamentary aspirant was kept in Dumping police station for almost 30 minutes before addressing the media.
say I'm saying okay no yeah to trade this week say baba kate so na start toilet I from me away it in drop I from be some dey na baba na dey be na from fan kwa so it e be na e best em say e ba na abakate so na chen start gumedi no but dey be duru no na posifo no fan say wo mu here office o ye kodu no na o ka chen say signal bi aba say sa gumedi na e ba so na ye na me say o say it say soccer na say mba so dia e chen tum start guma na o say no time ni here na me say one o kwan so mo here na o say MPC mama ye yes side man wo abraka pna abra ni be pay mo kwan mo ma here the reason is back and what the mo there on catch am say ha chieftaincy program wo ha na fin so time ni here time e be project ni ntim sam be say o say nti say akabe 6 months and 5 months mo to abi e bi adi project bi ba wo ntumi ndi ana o ma so catch am dey wo mo dey say go mo da mo no say mama talking basso in the
They're live on The Pulse, and this is where we wrap up today's bulletin. My name is Daniel Daze. Many thanks for joining us for another bulletin. Tomorrow we'll be back with The Pulse at 3 p.m. Have a good day.